Step on up, sit down, twist off that bottle top or crack open that can, and welcome to Porch Matters. This is Terry Cagle coming to you from my back porch. Yes sir, yes ma'am, the name of this show is authentic. On Porch Matters, our saying is this: big issues or just a friendly conversation, no topic is off limits. We take pride in being able to talk about anything with each other in an open discussion. Open discussion is one of the only ways to learn. Your perspective could be changed. You could change the perspective of others. Friends and family, welcome back to another episode of Porch Matters. I'm glad you're here. Quick announcement to start the show off. Starting next episode, new episodes of Porch Matters will drop every other Monday. If you're wondering why I'm changing the day, I'll answer it this way. Going from Friday to Monday is much more beneficial to me, and it makes future plans easier to do. If you want to find out what the future plans are, each one of you share the show with at least one person every episode. Right now, that's 2 people a month. Let's continue to grow the show, and then I'll show you my plans. If you love the show, you won't be disappointed. One more quick announcement. Porch Matters is now on TikTok. Just type in @Porch Matters Podcast in the search. Sunday is Mother's Day. It's the day that we celebrate the women in our life that hold special places in our hearts. I want to take just a minute to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom, Janice Cagle, and my girlfriend, Stacy. 2 amazing women in their own special way. Happy Mother's Day. I love y'all. Whether it's your mother, your grandmother, your wife, significant other, or your best friend, whatever her title may be, do your best to honor the women in your life Sunday. On this episode, I welcome Tammy Gyarmathy back to the porch to get an update on what's going on in her life and in her house. If you're a new listener, pause this and go back in our archives to episode 9. Go ahead and download it and listen to it, but then come back to this episode. Without further ado, let's get started. Tammy Gyarmathy. See, I remembered how to say your name. Welcome back to the porch for round 2. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Any better? I don't guess I could stand it. I was at work today, and, I drive a truck, and I was coming back, and I was listening to another podcast, and I'm going to go ahead and plug this one. It's called Strange and Unexplained, and it was episode 3. They were talking about a guy that he worked at, I'm not going to name any names, but he worked at a business. He told his coworker he was going out for a quick smoke. And it was back in the 90s, back whenever we didn't have to have our cell phones with us all the time.
Right.
Well, make a very, very long story short, he went down the express elevator instead of the regular elevator, went and smoked, came back up, didn't take his phone. And again, this was in the 90s, back when we weren't attached to our phones. The only thing you could do on the phone was, call or I don't even think text was in real good at this time.
Right.
He got back in the elevator and he started going up, lights flickered, and the elevator cut off. And he was in the elevator all by himself. And immediately in the middle of this story, for some strange reason, I got to thinking about you. Not in any creepy way or anything like that, but I remember the movie that was on Netflix that, showed the husband and the wife going off to the cabin for a little hanky-panky, and then right in the middle of all of that good stuff, he has the heart attack.
Right.
You remember?
Charles Game? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to thinking, and I know that you're making your own documentary, and I hope to get into that here very, very soon. But what if, let's say, since you've got some acting chops as well, you wrote and made a movie about getting trapped in an elevator with no phone or no nothing? Because you can imagine this guy was going crazy, and it wasn't just for 5 minutes. Again, long story short, Dude was stuck in an express elevator in a major building for 41 hours.
Oh my God.
What makes it worse, he hit the emergency thing and it was just going off. And he finally just fixed it to where it was going off constantly and constantly and constantly. He was in a building with security that was inside the building at all times, monitoring 32 cameras, and he was on camera the whole time. I'm going to have, since I've talked this up, I'm going to have to post this on the social media, but there's actually a YouTube video out of the security footage of the whole 42 or 41 hours just sped up to show what he was doing and what he was going through. He was hearing stuff, all that. So I was sitting there thinking, just imagine how dark you could go with that movie. And I know you like dark movies like I do.
Yeah. It reminds me of the movie Devil.
Yes.
That's so, oh my God. That's so scary.
Yeah.
And even if you had your phone, I mean, it's only going to work for a certain amount of time.
Right. Because historically speaking, cell phones don't really do good in elevators anyway.
No, they don't.
Especially back then. Even if he would have had his cell phone, he wouldn't have been able to call anybody.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. During in the podcast, he was talking about how he finally got the doors pried open, seen what floor he was on. And, you know, with it being an express elevator, it's the bottom and then wherever the elevator goes, there's not any stops in between.
Right.
The service hatch, it opens from the outside, not the inside. So,
What good is that?
I mean, it was almost like he was in a huge casket.
Right. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can only last, what, 2 or 3 days tops without any water or anything. And he was literally in there by himself. You know,
Oh my God.
in the podcast, it even talked about how he cracked the doors open. This is gross, folks. Sorry. It is what it is. Talked about how he cracked the doors open and, you know, peed out the door, hoping that, you know, it would pull up down there in the bottom or something just to try and get somebody's attention, because he even tried Morse code, hollering, you name it. Tried everything. Couldn't get nobody.
Wow.
And 41 hours later, somebody finally got to the desk and answered the little alarm that was going off for hours. Anybody in there? It was crazy.
I mean, I don't understand why it took them so long though.
I don't either. And according to the podcast, you know, he sued everybody.
Oh yeah, I
After
would
that,
have.
you know, he was he was going through a bunch of trauma and everything else. I can only imagine. But just imagine hearing that alarm going off, because it was going off inside the elevator as well as wherever else it was going off.
Right.
So I'm sure just hearing any kind of an alarm from now on, just, you know.
Oh my, that alone would have drove me crazy.
Right. You know, and it was talking about how he was hearing stuff and other than hearing voices and seeing things and everything like that. It was crazy. That story alone is worth the podcast download for that. I mean, yeah, I'm plugging somebody else's show, but I thought that was just a crazy story.
That's insane.
And I think that would make one heck of a movie.
Hell yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do a movie about that.
For real. I'm gonna have to get Steve Moon and tell him about it and see if he can buy the rights for the script.
Dang, yeah. Now I want to watch Devil.
Well, what have you been up to these days? Can try to catch us up a little bit on the adventures of Tammy.
So I've been really just working on my documentary, dealing with the spirit in this house. My brother-in-law got COVID, so we were dealing with that for a while because he lives here too. Life has been busy and hectic. That is for sure.
Well, first thing, I'm sure you don't want to delve off into any personal thing, and I don't really want to go too far with it, but how is your brother handling it? Is he okay?
He's fine. He had such a mild case, and he basically just lost his taste and smell and just mild congestion. That was it.
That was basically all that happened to me too. I lost my sense of smell and lost my taste, but that was it.
So far, nobody else has got it. And he tested negative on Saturday, so I don't
Awesome.
know. I don't know how that goes, but yeah. Hopefully it continues to stay that nobody else gets it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's good. He's doing better now.
So I still see on your social that the spirit is still around.
Oh my gosh, it's been so crazy in my house. Like, it's just tiring at this point.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's very active. I mean, every day there's something. Just trying to navigate around that, and I don't know. Like, everyone's like, you need to get help in there, and it's like every time we try to get help in here, it gets worse. So it's just like, what do you do at that point?
Well,
But
that's
yeah, I
good.
mean,
I was going to ask if you took Tiny up on his advice.
you know, no, I honestly, like, it gets frustrating for me because I've been doing this for so long, and like some people talk to me like I'm an amateur or I don't know anything about what's happening. And it's like I've tried so much. Like, I've had priests, demonologists, the other investigators, mediums, I mean, you name it, we've done it, and it doesn't help. So it's like, and then I have investigators all come, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, what are you going to do? Seriously.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's frustrating. And, it's hurt my sister. It's hurt my niece. My mom just heard growling in her room the other night. Like, I got scratched the other day.
I saw that.
So it's just,
I've been trying to keep up with you as much as I can.
yeah, I try not to post too much on Facebook just because people in the paranormal field, like, if it hasn't happened to them or if they haven't experienced it, like, they're gonna say your evidence is fake or whatever. And I don't have time for that because I know what we're experiencing is very real. So I post some things on there, and there's so much more, like, that people have no idea. It's been affecting my personality lately, which is kind of scaring me a little bit. Like, I'll be in fine, like a totally fine mood, and then, like, I just turn into like the meanest person in the world out of nowhere. So that's kind of bothersome for me.
Do you think it has anything to do with what's going or what's in the house, or if it's
Yeah,
stress or lack of sleep or what?
I think that it's affecting my personality. Because for a while there too, like, my sister was really different, like, just not herself at all. And I feel like it's whatever's here or attached to me that it's really affecting people in that way. That's more worrisome to me than it moving things around the house. Just trying to figure it all out. I mean, at least we now know, because every house I've lived in has been active since I was a kid, and it was always just like, oh, it's just a haunted house. We just moved into another haunted house. It took a long time for me to, like, figure out, no, it's just always been the same thing that's been with me for so long. And I'm trying to dive into that a little bit more too, because I know it's got to be some type of bloodline, generational type of deal, just because all the women on my mom's side of the family have the gift. So I've been trying to dig more into that and see what I can find. Um, but I feel like the closer, like, the more answers and the more I dig, it's just like, when we try to get somebody in here to help, it's the same thing. It amps up. So it's a very tricky situation.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Is is it staying inside the house? Does it ever leave the house and follow you out and about, going to other investigations that you've been doing or
Yes.
whatever?
So that's another thing too, because, like, things fly off the walls around me all the time, and that's been for a really long time. Like, my mom and I were just talking about this. Like, my old hairstylist back in California, 3 times that I went and got my hair done, something happened. Like, the first time, her license that's on the wall flew off the wall, like, just missed my face, fell on the ground and broke. Then the next time I went, she had this shelf with, like, shampoo bottles and stuff on it for sale, and, like, 3 of the bottles flew, not just fell, but, like, flew off and hit me. And then another time she had a little sign on the wall, and that like started shaking. We have a villa in the Dominican Republic, and on the nightstand there was a clock thing, and the clock flew off the nightstand there. Hotel Leger, the location that I used to investigate a lot back in California, a cross flew off the door there. So it's like things tend to fly off the walls around me. And with what happens in my house, I really feel like it's the same thing that's here with me. So it's putting the pieces together, like the more shocking it becomes. Because for that to happen so often around one person, like you have to really think, okay, is that the attachment? Because all those locations aren't going to have things that are flying off shelves and walls, and that's not that common.
Now, sooner or later, coincidence kindly runs out the door on that one.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think it definitely like isn't just in the house with me. And we've been on investigations where it made sense what was going on was most likely the attachment. So it's just how do you get rid of it at this point? And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I feel like I've tried it all. I mean, I don't think there's much left. So I guess we'll see.
What all have you tried? I know you pretty much said you've tried everything, but I know, as I said, something similar to this in our last episode. I know just enough about the paranormal to get me somewhere between the stupid and the ignorant range. And there may be, what I'm saying. I don't.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Well, okay, I've had other investigators come and investigate the home, and that didn't help, obviously. I've had a demonologist on a team of people that I know. That group of people were thinking that maybe it was something with me, like telekinesis, like that I'm like my energy is moving the stuff. A few people actually have that theory. I'm not too sure about that, just because of other things that have happened. And that what after they saged and they like buried the Saint Benedicts around the four corners of the outside of the house. I mean, we did everything that we could do in that situation to cleanse and get rid of it, or try to at least. That they stayed the night. The next day they left. That night, like my personality got really weird and stuff started happening in the house. So that didn't work. I've had priests in multiple homes come bless the house. That didn't work. And then when I had the priest come here after my sister was attacked, like he was praying and blessing and whatever, and he was doing it in Latin. And like the whole time he was speaking, I was angry. Like I wanted him to leave. And then my cameras picked up when he did leave, and right when I was walking him out, you hear "get out," and then I shut the door after he like walked out. So I mean, I don't know. Some say a shaman. I don't know. I don't know what that will do. That's like the one thing I haven't tried. And every time like my friend and I investigate and try to get answers, it really amps things up too. So I try avoiding that as much as possible as well. So I don't know. I don't know what my options are at this point.
Well, one thing's for sure, it needs to go away so you can live your life. I can definitely hear it in your voice. You're not the same as what you have been before whenever I've talked to you in the past. Not just on the podcast. You can hear the weight of it on your voice. Is what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
it's beginning to be a lot, especially like my living situation now, because the whole family moved to Texas and we all live in one house. So there's 6 of us, and I think that energy also feeds it more. And I think that's why it's more active here than in the house before. And I don't like the fact that it's tried to hurt my sister. It's attacked my mom. It's pushed Ava down like on her face. It scratches Ava. It scratches my sister. Like those things I don't like. Like I was able to handle it better when it was just me and my husband or me, my husband and my mom. But now that it's like all of us and other people are really being affected by it, it's just too much. Cause it's already hard living with 6 people in one house. um, I mean, the house is big and we have our own space, but so many different personalities. And my sister and I already like at each other's throats before living together. So it's
I
like,
I can
you
only
know,
imagine.
I mean, I love her. We have a good relationship, but
Right.
sometimes it's really difficult. And
You need you
this
need
situation makes it even worse.
you need your space as well. I get
Yes.
it. I get it wholeheartedly. I think that's part of the reason why I like driving the truck. It's just me.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
can get down with a job like that for sure.
Hey,
I,
if I want to call or talk to somebody, the only thing I've got to do is call them. If I don't want to talk to anybody, I can just turn on a podcast. I can turn on music. It's just me, whatever's coming through those speakers and the road.
yeah,
It's kind of great.
I sounds good to me. Like I love being around my family and like being around people, but sometimes I just want to be by myself and I don't really get that anymore. So
Uh,
that wears on me.
I totally get that. I'm somewhere between an extrovert and an introvert.
Right.
Whichever one that is, I can't remember. There's sometimes I get around people and it just, it perks me up. Then there's other instances where I can get into a conversation with some people and it just feels like the life leaves me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about, but it is what it is.
See, and I'm an empath too, so it's like I feel everybody else's moods and all of that energy like compiles on top of me. So it's hard when you're around that many different people every day. And, if somebody's in a funk, then I'm going to be in a funk because that automatically just comes to me. And, yeah, I need my own place.
I I can somewhat sympathize with that. I don't know if I'm an empath or whatever, but just like I said a minute ago, it's just like sometimes I can be in a conversation, everything goes great, but then there's other times whenever some people are in moods or whatever, it feels like I'm, for lack of better words, life is leaving me, and
Right.
I don't know if it's the
No,
mood, the negative, or whatever, but uh, I also, being a guy, and I try to fix things all the time. Maybe it's the way it
yeah,
is, I guess.
I'm a fixer too. So that definitely doesn't help. But I think we're all empaths in our own way. I think it's just who's more open to it and who's not. I mean, if you could feel an energy change and when you're communicating with people, then I would say that you probably are too. Yeah. So it's been exhausting. I, can, I think
So
that's the best way to put it.
sounds like you might need to go down to that villa in the Dominican Republic,
Shit, I wish.
right? I
Yeah,
hear it's
that'd be
nice this time of
nice.
year. That's one.
Well, the best time to go is like winter for us. Like that's the best time to go. But yeah, we haven't been in a few years. I definitely miss those trips.
My girlfriend, I think it was not this, it was 2019. She went down. Hi, Stacy, if you're listening to this, I love you. But that whenever the earthquake hit down there in
Mm-hmm.
2019,
Mm-hmm.
we called each other at that point in time on Facebook Messenger. It was either 19 or early 2020 before everything got shut down. I asked her how everything was going. She was like, "Oh, it's going good, other than the earthquake or something like that." And I was on the road. I didn't know nothing about it. And then
Mm-hmm.
whenever I got stopped, I checked it out, and sure enough, where she was just right there, miles away from where the earthquake actually hit. Okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, the last time we went, it was like a really bad hurricane season, but they like where we go, they don't get the hurricanes, but they get the bad rain. And
Right.
it was bad. Like the roads were being washed out. Like we thought we weren't going to be able to go back home for a while. Luckily, we ended up being able to leave when we were supposed to. But yeah, that was scary. They get some scary stuff there.
I bet. Well, especially with it being right there in that alley.
Right.
The wind and everything isn't always the bad part about the hurricanes. Just like you said, the rains can be just as devastating.
Right. Definitely.
So how many investigations have you been on lately? I've seen that you've been going to investigations with David Childers and I think I said that right, and Stormy Daniels. How did everything go on those?
So I investigated with Stormy a little bit. David wasn't able to go. He had to work. That was awesome. She's amazing. But I haven't really been investigating that much lately. We did that. It was a hotel out in Ballinger, Texas. Place was really haunted. I've been helping a friend, been at her house once. I need to go back actually. That's a little intense, but being that's a residential, I don't really want to talk about that on here.
Don't need to.
And then this abandoned hotel, they're actually remodeling it. I don't want to name it because I don't want to give the location away to other people. But, that place was pretty cool too. It was cool. We were like the second people to investigate it, and I love locations like that. I'm not one of those people that like fawn after like these big locations that everyone's done a billion times. Like I could care less about places like that because they're overdone.
Right.
I love the spots that are like really haunted and like no one's investigated because you get the best activity and evidence that way. Been trying to get a hold of that guy, the guy who's remodeling it, so we can get back in there. There's not a whole lot in Texas though. We had the high school that we were doing, and that place was phenomenal. But some woman got that place shut down, so people can't go in there and investigate anymore. So that sucks. But yeah, we haven't done too much investigating, trying to find locations at this point that we haven't done yet. But that's about it.
Well, Tammy, I know you're busy and everything like that. I appreciate you coming on the show. Have you got anything that you're wanting to plug?
I'm going to be at a paranormal, like Paracon. It's more of a Comic-Con in Kilgore, Texas on May 1st and 2nd. I think it's called Geek Fest. And then what else am I doing? I think that's it right now. I'm just working on the documentary. I might be having more of my evidence shown on Paranormal Caught on Camera, but I'm waiting to hear back on that.
For those of you that don't know what she's talking about, Paranormal Caught on Camera is on the Travel Channel, is it not?
Yes.
How much material have you been able to get on there? I saw that you had gotten some on there.
So the first time they contacted me, so when it was on, I think it was in September.
I think so.
Yeah, September, October. They did I think almost all the videos from my California house. They did quite a few of the videos from there. And then some of my stuff was on the Osbournes Want to Believe. I think they pretty much used the same material. So I think it's the same production company. Yeah, that's it so far.
Have you got a release date for your documentary?
No, it's slow moving. I'm hoping by like December. We've gotten some interviews in. The issue is so many of the people live in California, and with COVID and stuff, like traveling isn't really in for me right now. Right. So we're trying to navigate around that. But yeah, I'm hoping December. That's like where I want to be. So fingers crossed we make it for that. But yeah, we've been getting more in, so I'll be doing more like teasers, trailers and stuff. Be putting that out on Facebook.
Where can folks find all of these trailers and teasers?
They can just find me on Facebook, Tammy Gyarmathy. also Scream Queen 36 on Instagram.
Awesome. Have you still got your YouTube channel going?
The haunted one, yeah, I do use that one sometimes. I need to get back on there. Haven't been, I'm trying not to put too much on there just because I want to save a lot of it for the documentary, but I am on there still.
All right. Tammy Gyarmathy, always a pleasure. You're welcome back on the porch anytime, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Big thanks to Tammy Gyarmathy for coming back on the porch. You can find her on Facebook or at Scream Queen 36 on Instagram. Find her home footage at The Haunted Ones on YouTube. If you are new to the show and like what you hear, hit that like, subscribe, or follow button and download the episodes in our archives. If this show has been a positive addition to your life, please rate the show and leave a review. Won't take you but a minute, and it really would help the show. Find us on social media by typing Porch Matters Podcast in the search bar. Word of mouth is still the best way of sharing. Pick your favorite episodes and share it with at least one person this week. There are a lot of people out there that have never heard of a podcast before. I sure would appreciate it. And I'll see you next time, right here on Porch Matters.